Hey guys, I'm Jasmine Sweet, and as you all know, I usually do a Black History Month feature. Well, I might be fresh off of having a baby, but this year I'm passing the mic to my husband Alex Sweet, and he is interviewing his good friend on what it's like to be a Black man in America. So let's go see what they're talking about.
Welcome and thank you for tuning in. Happy Black History Month. My name is Alex Sweet and I'm sitting here with a few of my friends. We're about to have a discussion about what it means to be Black men in America. Without further ado, let me introduce you to my homies.
Thank you, Alex, for having me. I am BARRETT, NEWSOME, one half of the She and I podcast every Tuesday. Make sure you go check it out. And once again, happy Black History Month.
Hey, yo, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Alex. I am Aaron McGee. I'm an executive leadership coach, and you can find me on Instagram on all platforms as Aaron T. McGee. I'm always talking big leadership energy, man. It's all about the positive vibes, and so I'm excited to be here today and to discuss Black History Month.
Hi, my name is Stephen Smith. I am a full-time entrepreneur, owner of Mindful Movers. I am honored for the opportunity to be here, and I look forward to this conversation about what it means to be a Black man in America.
Yo, what's going on? I am GERELL WEBB. I'm a fitness entrepreneur, and I am super excited to sit down with some of my brothers to talk Black history, fitness, health, wellness, all the things. Let's get into it.
All right, y'all, since it is Black History Month, I do want to start with topics that is specific to the Black culture. And the first question I want to get to really is one that's been kind of ongoing in our community, especially from our white brethren. And Aaron, I'm asking you first, man.
Okay.
Do you prefer being called Black or African American?
Oh, I'm blickety black, bro. It's all day. It's all day. In fact, I think, whenever I write Black, bro, I put a capital B on it too.
Yeah. And
so I do that in my personal and in my professional life. Because I think, man, we've been through so much. My simple perspective is that I deserve to be Black. You feel me? And so I'm writing literature in professional context where normally they would say African American, or now they're even using broader language like BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, People of Color. I respect that. I respect it all. But I feel like the Black man, the Black person in this country has been through so much. Now, at this point, I want to take complete ownership of being called Black. So whenever you see me, I'm Black. I'm blickety black all day.
Blickety black.
With a capital B, big B.
That's
a little B.
That's a good point, because we are hearing other terms like BIPOC, or whatever the case may be. Do you see yourself, Barrett, as African American though, or is that something that we even still identify with, being African American?
Right. I think we do, man. It's not even I think. I know we do. And the reason why I say this is because I read something the other day. I was talking about how race is a construct, and like how we got put into a race, Black, white, really colors. African American is a race. However, to Aaron's point, man, I'm Black, capital B. I agree with that. And it recently got changed to where the B should be capitalized because of it's being a race now. But yeah, I'm African American, Black African American. I think the semantics of being PC, politically correct, it's whatever you want to do. But for me, I identify as Black and as African American interchangeably.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
Still staying on that subject, fellas, I want to shoot it over here to my guys, right? I was reading a blog. It was from thegoodmensproject.com. And there was a brother and his white friend, and he allowed his white friend to ask him questions, which I feel like, honestly speaking, if you have white friends, you should allow them to ask you questions to open up that dialogue. I think it's very, very important. But anyway, so the question that this white man asked his Black brethren was this right here. And I'm going to ask y'all the same question. Why does the Black community still complain so much about racism? Slavery ended so long ago. We just had kind of a conversation earlier about that. So I kind of wanted GERELL start with you, brother.
Yeah, so I think I'll start with asking the question back. And my question is, why doesn't the white community own their part in slavery? And I think the reason why we not even complain, I won't even say complain, but bring it up, because one, we live it, and then two, because you won't own it, right? I think a big part of any type of relationship, even like I'm married, if I cheat on my wife, right? A big part of that is me coming to her and owning that misstep. If I'm always saying, baby, that was a year ago, you get over it.
Yeah.
She gonna be like, what? Right? so she's always gonna feel that.
Good
And
point.
so I think a big part of it is owning your part in it, right? And the second part is I think once you own it, then now we have to start to move in the direction of embracing it. And how do we fix it? Because we can't fix it by ourselves, right? I can't fix the way a man thinks about me. I can't fix the way they naturally are afraid of me because of whatever reason, or the stereotypes that you have, or your perception of me. I can't fix that. I can only change my mind, and so you have to change your mind. But the first step in that is owning it.
Man, that was huge, bro. Like owning it. I mean, that's definitely huge. Steve, you got any comments on that, bro?
Well, I completely agree. I think a lot of what we face is that they don't own what actually slavery did to us, and how it has affected us. But I'm a person that likes to look within, and with every situation that I'm faced with. So part of my thought process on it is that oftentimes we don't want the responsibility of what it means to hold ourselves accountable for our actions today.
Talk about it then.
So when you look at the word responsibility, it is the ability to respond to a situation. And oftentimes we can't necessarily control the situations that we're in. We can't control that. We can't change that slavery happened. What we can do is control how we respond to what slavery did to us and where it brought us to. So in my perspective, I think oftentimes, maybe not us as a whole, maybe not everyone, but oftentimes we will complain about something because we don't want to take responsibility of what it means to actually make a change and actually fight to overcome the oppression and the challenges that we're faced with. So, so I think a part of that is, a lack of accountability, or a lack of willingness to hold ourselves accountable to fight against the oppression that does exist and that has existed for centuries.
So give me an example, because like I understand what you're saying.
Sure.
And I want to make sure that people have clarity. I want to make sure people have clarity because like it is important, because I do feel like, we do have like the situations that we are in, we have to take control and move in a certain way.
Absolutely.
So can you give me an example of like, where we need to take accountability for our current state? Give me an example of that.
Well, for me, I think it's something as simple as our neighborhoods, our local neighborhoods. I think oftentimes for local communities, if anyone knows me, I'm from Jackson, Mississippi.
My boy.
It's a pretty much has become a predominantly black city. There's whites in the city, but they're spotty. One thing that I've noticed is that oftentimes we look to lawmakers to change the city. The roads are bad, which is a governmental responsibility, but parks are trash, jobs aren't there, and there's different things that are influencing the livelihood of what it means to live in Jackson. Well, I think we put so much attention on the powers that be, the government, the lawmakers, the mayor, and so on and so forth, to build the city back up, when at the end of the day, if it's our city, it's our job to build it back up. It's like asking.
So I'm gonna give you some pushback.
Okay.
Let's talk about it. I'm gonna give you some pushback right there, because it's not your city. You live in the city,
sure.
It's not your city. Just like Nashville isn't my city, Antioch doesn't belong to the blacks. That might be where they live, right? But it is the state of Mississippi's job to take care of Jackson, just like they take care of what's the affluent state city, Oxford,
Madison. For sure.
Madison.
I got you.
The same way they take care of those cities and those roads and those schools. They have to take care of that, which is a fundamental systematic reason to to your answer before. Like, we can take so much responsibility and take care of ourselves, but there's also a system that we're fighting against that is saying we're not funneling no money to Jackson. That's where all the black people are.
Absolutely.
That's all the black people are.
But
we will put money as well, Oxford or Madison or whatever, because that's where our kids are going to school.
Right.
The difference between Franklin and Nashville, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Williamson County schools are amazing.
Night and day.
Metro, totally different.
Right? Those are totally different. Two totally different cities, right? Yeah. And they're 20 minutes apart from each other. It shouldn't be that much of a difference.
Let me provide you with some pushback, because I agree with that.
Yes.
I agree with you as well. Yeah. But if you have your house, Like my home right now that I have, my car, right? That is my home. It is my car. Even the land around it is mine. I'm going to make sure that my house is clean. I'm going to make sure that my car is running properly. And if it's a park that I'm going to, that I know that the community is in, at the end of the day, you're right. Like the government should be helping to assist, right?
For sure.
But somebody still made that park to where it is. And it's the people that was there.
But it's because you also have the means to do that.
Right.
If you don't have the means,
if you're in a neighborhood,
is Jackson a poor city?
I mean,
Pockets.
Yeah.
Pockets,
Yes.
pockets of
for
it,
sure.
right? So if you don't have the means, if there's poverty, if there's large amounts of poverty there, which is, if we're being honest, what black communities, most black communities, all black communities look like, right?
Food deserts.
Food deserts, right? So you have poor school systems. So now it's a trickle down because the kids aren't in school. So if the kids aren't in school, where they at? They on the streets. Which means they're in the parks or wherever. If I'm hungry, you can't tell me, yo, go to school, get a good education, and in 10 years, you're gonna be somebody, you're gonna make 6 figures. I'm hungry today.
Well, here's the thing.
Right? And if Aaron is saying, yo, hey, sell this
No.
real quick, $20 so I can feed the family, not saying it's right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if I have a choice between going hungry,
Today.
between being hungry today, right?
Survival.
It's survival.
So, but
Go ahead,
I think one of the variables that's missing from this conversation when I hear it, man, talking about communities is the culture piece. So yes, the state of Mississippi is responsible for Jackson, right? But at the end of the day, man, I think it's about culture. I think it's about the environment that you create.
Right.
So there's when you gave the example of the park, you know, if this is my home, my community, yeah, you may take care of the roads, but I can pick up the trash. You know what I'm saying? It's a mindset. So it is a system, but it's a mindset as well. And so when I hear this, man, I'm thinking about like, yo, if we have mindset, if we can get people to shift their mindsets to understand that Jackson is my city and we're not going to do crime over here, we're not going to do X, Y, Z over here, then I think just for I'm thinking about the collective black person or the a black community, man. I think
the culture.
One of the things that's missing really is that idea of culture and making sure that, yo, we control the climate, even in this environment. I mean, we see that in schools all the time. The students don't own the building, but more than often they run the school in multiple ways.
And I'll add this to it. It's one thing to ask for someone to do something for you, right? And if you go through the psychology of that, the psychology for someone to make a change is for someone to see that a change needs to be made. Now, when someone decides a change needs to be made, typically that comes from a place from lack, right? Where I am, my current state is not where I want to be, right? So I'm going to make a change because of that.
Okay.
So the powers that we're asking to make a change, the only incentive they have to make a change is to put themselves in a better position. So what about changing the communities that blacks live in puts them in a better position?
Nothing really.
So that's why I challenge the idea that yes, 100%, we are owed, we deserve to get change without question. Without question, the government, the powers that be, should be influencing that change for us.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if I'm not in an uncomfortable position to create change, why would I change? And the reality is, that's not a racial thing. That's a human being thing. We all are wired that way. So for me, the expectation that someone would put themselves in an uncomfortable position when they're already comfortable to make somebody else comfortable
Ain't gonna happen.
is, to me, and you take this how you take it, I don't mean it directly, but I think it's kind of a ridiculous notion to expect that. That's my perspective.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I like this conversation, and honestly, if we have more time, I want to keep on. I want to stay right here, but we gotta move on to the next question because that was a great point. That was a great point.
When we talk about black folks not helping other black people because of level of comfortability or security, I think that's a mindset as well.
It is.
And so here's the thing, man. So I have this, even in the work that I do around leadership coaching, the goal is to shift somebody's mindset, right?
Right.
And so I think there's personal and professional. There's some things in my professional space that I'm just not going to jeopardize. I can put you on, I can bring you in a partnership with me, and we're going to do that in the confines of this agreement. So I'm not jeopardizing that.
Right.
That's my I can't lose right here. But then on the personal side, man to man, brother to brother, sister to sister, human to human, I'm like, man, now I can help you. I can lend you a hand. Or in this case, I can give you a code because I think the code should be free. Too many of us are harboring the codes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a content creator, you're a producer, you're a podcaster, you're a broadcaster, a business owner. So am I. Now, the expectation can't be that, yo, you walk with me along every single step of the way to help me get my stuff up. But if you're going to give me a code to say, yo, this going to get me to where I'm going, then why not share the codes?
Right.
So you won't be in the all-white jam anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
But that's what I'm saying. No other culture has that responsibility.
Yeah.
No other culture has to depend on Aaron. Like if Aaron blows it, then next time when Barrett comes in,
yeah.
and they'll be like, nah, the last time
If Billy messed it up, it don't matter. Like they'll get another Billy.
sure.
But if Aaron come and mess it up, I'm done with y'all.
Now,
I told you that.
Hey,
told you that.
But I'm gonna say this. That's all about location as well, because we're here in Nashville. Now you in a culture like Detroit, like Atlanta. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where the DC, where the density of people of color is denser.
But those are one-offs.
I know, but
A lot of one-offs. Like, we just named them.
but I'm saying,
You know,
but
when Atlanta, the stuff that works in Atlanta don't work in Nashville.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Houston,
But I'm
same
saying in Dallas too. But I'm saying we can usher that in. I think especially if we're going to be in this city, then we have a responsibility to usher it in.
Next question, real quick.
We can't acquiesce anymore. We got to stop acquiescing to the environment.
Let's keep the conversation going. I'm gonna kick it over here to Barrett and Aaron again. You guys work hard. I've seen your work, and us being black men especially, I feel like it's important for us to work hard.
Yes, sir.
But what motivates you to work hard?
I'm gonna try to keep the answer short and concise, but I feel like in each stage of your life, different things motivate you to work hard. That's true. When you were younger, let's say like in your preteen and everything, your friends motivate you. Man, I couldn't let Aaron go out here and play basketball without me, so I gotta do whatever to go out there and play basketball with Aaron. As you got to college, like me, I went off to college. My main motivation was not letting my parents down. Man, I can't. They let me go. They gave me a car. I can't get up here to Tennessee and then make a mockery of what they gave me. As an adult man, it's flipped on his head. My family motivates me. Beyond myself too. You got to be self-motivated first and foremost. But beyond that, man, I have to set a good example for my son. First things first. I don't care what it is. My mindset is always gonna go back to him. Now, my wife as well. I have to make sure that both of them are happy and have exactly the things that they need. I can't look at myself in the mirror knowing that my wife lacks, or knowing that my son looks at me as a less than because I can't do X, Y, Z. No, I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna make it happen. By hook or by crook. Something's going to shake.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good fact. Aaron, same question,
That's
man.
love.
I mean,
you know, just straight up, my approach is rooted in family, but higher above that, man, is time. Time motivates me, bro. I feel like I'm already on borrowed time. So if death is inevitable for me, I told Teresa the other day, I'm dying on E. You know, I want to die on E. And so that motivation to show up for myself, to show up for my family, to show up for others out of my abundance, that's motivated. You feel me? That's motivated by time. So I want to die on E, man. And so, you know, my motto, I write it everywhere, man. Keep shining on them. And my thing is, like, if we're gonna be here, it's like gratitude for today. So if we're waking up on this side, then that means that we got more to do. And so I'm excited to see what more I have to do.
I want to go deeper to that because you just said something like you feel like you're on borrowed time. I feel like a lot of brothers feel like that. I mean, you know, I don't know everyone's background, but I do know there have been brothers like that grew up in certain areas where like the narrative was, oh, you're not supposed to make it past a certain age. Is that where that comes from, or does it come from another place?
Man, that's twofold. So I'm a different generation than my father. My father's in his 50s, did not expect to live past 18, and so my father in his 30s, born and raised downtown Jackson, Mississippi, where you know, so many of his friends were murdered. I remember his last best friend was shot dead when I was like 7 years old, and I've never really seen my dad with another quality friend since that time. So a man in his 50s, my dad is like, you know, I ain't even think I could see life on this side. For me, no, I had expectations, so I'm right where I expected to be.
Thank you, Aaron, for ending that conversation. That was great. I want to go over here on this side of the room again. On the same tip, we're still talking about life, all right? Life in general. And we've experienced a lot, I feel like, growing up. You know, we're all of us 30 plus now, you know, and we've seen a few things. This is a 30 plus, baby, 30 plus. This is a question I feel like, you know, most black men need to have more conversations around. This is a question I got for you. When in life have you been the most nervous?
Oh man, so for me, mine is like an extreme.
Oh,
I mean, I got an extreme one too.
Yeah, mine is extreme, but I'll make it make sense. Okay. So for me, I was on the West Coast working, and my wife's water broke at 21 weeks. Right? So you got two things happening. I'm literally across the country. We're super early when her water broke. She has to get admitted to the hospital in the middle of COVID, all this stuff like that. I can't get home. So I don't know if my wife's going to be okay, and I don't know if my daughter is going to be okay, right? So this is the first time I've ever had in my adult life an anxiety attack. Because as a man, I think the hardest thing for you to feel is to feel helpless.
Yes, sir.
I can't do nothing.
Like there's literally nothing I can do, right? And so in that moment, I had to pull myself together. I'm in a hotel room, like going, like my mind going everywhere. I knew a guy who had a very similar situation, who ended up losing his wife and his daughter. His daughter was born, but now he's taking care of her. So that's what my mindset was, and I knew that I was like completely helpless, and I just felt like the worst place that, especially a man, can be is like helpless.
Facts.
Like just not being able. That like there's literally nothing you can do, even if you want to do something. So I'm across the country. There's nothing I can do. We were blessed enough that it worked out, you know, in our favor. I think my wife got a beautiful little girl.
Amen.
Love, man.
But that, you know, I think we just have to learn how to let go, right? In situations where you can't do anything, it's just, all right, you got to be hands off. So for me, that was the most nervous I've ever been. Yeah.
Steve, what you got for us, man?
To be honest, it's the most nervous I've ever been is really right now. And I say that because I'm seem to be in a pivotal point in my life right now. I'm in a career. I'm making pretty decent money, but I feel a lot of weight and responsibility in terms of my next steps, how I will approach my next steps in life. And one part of that is my family.
Okay.
Now, I feel like I'm going to have to take a load on financially to take care of some of my family. And like I said, I'm making the money, but
it's about to give it away.
But I feel like I'm about to give it away, and I feel like I'm about to pay it back. Exactly. And part of me says that I owe it to myself, and I owe it to my future, and I owe it to my family to make sure I invest these things the right way. Not only invest the money, but invest my time, you know, invest my energy, invest my focus the right way. And the other part is the gratitude and the appreciation for the things that have been instilled into me, and the sense of, I guess you can say, I owe to pay it back, like I said. And
Do you owe it though?
I was just about to ask you that. Do you owe that though? Like, do any of us owe, you know, our past, our
You have kids?
families?
no kids.
You don't have any
when,
kids.
when you have kids, do you feel like once you raise them, they owe you anything
Absolutely not.
Okay.
for whatever
Absolutely
you
not.
instill into them, or for whatever you raise and teach them and give them? They like, hey, remember when you was 8? I bought you some J's.
Yeah.
For
I'm
sure.
gonna need you to run that back. Do you feel like you would?
No, I believe that it is a responsibility of a parent to raise a child into how to conform to, or not conform, but how to operate under the laws of the world.
Yeah.
And how
And
to
be self-sufficient.
to
And
be
be
self-sufficient
self-sufficient.
Yeah,
and be
right.
productive within themselves. And at that point, it's their responsibility.
Right.
You know, in the Jewish culture, they have bar mitzvah at the age of 12, and this is them coming under the subjection of law. And this is when they take responsibility completely for their actions. And I'm a believer that once a man becomes a man, it's his responsibility to
Well, I feel like you just answered your question.
Right. Like now there are circumstances to where like
I do understand how they can be nerve wracking, especially because I mean, look, I was in a similar situation to where, not similar situation to yours, but feeling like, not from like a financial standpoint, but from a time standpoint, I feel like maybe, and from an emotional standpoint, that I owed it to my family versus to my family, if that makes sense. You see what I'm saying?
for sure,
Like
for
I
sure.
did feel like, oh snap, like, and that could have been nerve wracking. It can be because, like, you know, as a man, you gotta turn the corner eventually. You gotta realize, okay, this is my family, my wife, my kids. This is my family, and I owe them first.
Yep.
You know,
Without
back to that
question.
scripture that you
Without question.
was talking about. This is what I owe first. I don't owe anybody back anything. Like if anything, I feel like you owed me while I was young to prepare me to where I should be now. I feel like that.
Well,
that is your job.
So
Go ahead.
my question, we talking to brothers, right?
Yeah.
We trying to help brothers. So I think, man, one of the things that we have to also do is to understand what our boundaries are. Because when I hear you say owe,
Set boundaries.
you know, I don't think we owe anybody anything, and nobody owes us anything. So the thing is, I'm more so say, well, what's your value system? What do you value? Do you value family, and do you value reciprocity? Do you value charity? You know what I mean? Because it really boils down, I see it as a value system. And so if you understand what your values are, and then if you operate within your values, that helps you get the boundaries, because then you get this mindset of a lot of people have mindsets that we owe people something. I don't owe anybody anything. Not my mom, not my dad, not my grandma, nobody. The thing is, I have values in place that, for me, position me that I want to, like, one of my love languages is acts of service and giftings. So out of my value system and the way I love and want to be loved, man, I decide to show up. I decide to, I got to get the bag because I desire to take care of my parents.
For sure.
I desire to have my wife and my daughter like thrive and to be, you know, all that they can be, but that comes out of a desire.
For sure.
I got a question too, though. We're talking about nervousness, right? And we're talking to the brothers, like you said. How do we get over the nerves? Like, we're here. Steve said he was nervous.
You gotta make a hard. To me, you gotta make a hard decision.
Okay.
What we may consider a hard decision to others, it'd be like, no, what? It just makes sense. I mean, hey, like we just got done talking about it. Like, I mean, do you feel like your kids owe you when they get older?
Right.
It seems thinkless. Like, okay, that makes sense. But I think to Aaron's point, having a value,
I like the way he put that.
I like that. If it's a value, it's just like the pro ball player. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I want to buy my mom a house, so let me make it big in the league.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that's a different
Exactly.
approach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when KD gave his whole speech about like mom, like you the real MVP. He wanted to do that for moms. And moms was, I feel like KD's mom, I don't know her, but looking at her, she invested into KD. Like she like, I'm going to give you, you're going to make, you're going to do this, son. But she invested. So he had that value. Like, you know what? I'm about to give the moms value. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think, me personally, I'll give it to y'all. I just feel like you just got to make that hard decision, and you have to know first, what do you value? For me, like I said, in my situation, it's my family first.
Exactly.
That's what I value first.
For sure.
So back to that owing anybody anything else. If I owe anybody anything, I owe the life that I brought into this world.
Exactly.
That's what I owe first.
Yeah.
That's my priority. So
Yeah.
that's how I would answer that question.
Hey, you really
But-
just said something to the fathers out there, just to be real, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to the fathers out there.
That ownership piece around ownership, responsibility for the life that you create, man. And I'll just put the little nugget in it. I think just to speak to any fathers that's going to see this, man, I do want to say that it's an honor and it's a privilege to be in the position of a father.
For sure.
And one of the reasons I take fatherhood so seriously is because I was working with a family and a mom came in the door, someone I was very familiar with, and she made a quick, like, what seemed to be a throwaway statement on her way out when I was asking her about, like, something about a permission slip or something. I said, yo, you drove all the way across town to turn in this slip? And she turned back and she was like, Aaron, she made it real deep. She said, I was called to raise these kids. And she went on to say something else. And this was before I was married and before I had a child as well. And when she said that, it clicked. I said, well, I never thought about fatherhood or parenthood as a calling. You know what I mean? And so if you are called to something, then that, for me, it's an indicator that you're supposed to be there and that you need to make the decision, to your point, on what are you going to do in response to this calling. So the ball is really in your court.
This is great, y'all. I thank y'all for that. I got one more question for y'all.
Yeah.
I got one more question, then I'm going to close this out. And honestly, I want to get everyone's point on this one. I actually had a few more, but we can say that for another time. In this life, you know, we're kind of already hitting on as far as like making decisions, trying to advance in career, dealing with family, things of that nature. And there's life lessons that we learn daily. I'm pretty sure. You know what I mean? I know I got a few life lessons that I've learned. So my question to the room is this: what life lessons did you have to learn the hard way? Everybody thinking, what's up? What's up, Jarrell? What life lesson did you have to learn the hard
All
way?
of them, bro.
Yeah,
If my mom could tell you, she would tell you I was very hard headed. But I think honestly the biggest life lesson, and I'm still learning it, is just actually how to be a man.
Nice. Facts.
And I don't think if you're not a man, even men don't understand how hard it is to really be a man.
Facts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's the lesson that I'm still learning, because it's so in depth and so many different ways to get to the same point. Which is why I think men respond the way they do when their manhood is challenged.
Yes, sir.
I think
I'm
that you have so many different opinions of what being a man is.
Absolutely.
I think that right now is open season on men, and
I love it.
I just think that, you know, understanding like because my version of what a man is may be different than what your version of man is. What we were taught and told what a man is completely almost opposite of what you grow
Yes,
when
sir.
you learn and mature of what a real man is. Real man is taking care of responsibilities,
Yes, sir.
taking care of his wife,
Protecting.
children, protecting, providing, being a priest. All those different things, and within all different things are different dynamics.
And being a
right?
partner too.
Being a
If
partner,
you're-
all those different things
Yeah.
are there are so many different dynamics to all those different things. So figuring out and learning how to be a real man,
Yes,
right?
sir.
It's probably, and I'll leave it there. It's probably the toughest lesson that I've had to learn. And I've tried it almost every different way you can try it. You know what I mean? But trying to put all those lessons together and make the man that you see, you know, before you now.
Oh man,
He should have went last.
But like Barrett said, you want to piggyback.
Oh, man.
I want you to go put this bow on it for
I
us.
have to. I'm gonna take it down to a little bit more a niche comment when it comes
Yeah.
to being a man.
Make it make sense, man. Put a bow on.
Man, being a husband
Okay, let's talk about it.
has probably been
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
the biggest lesson that I had to learn. How many times did I have to hit my head to figure out, that's hard.
Yeah.
That has probably been the most trying thing. Being a man, beside that, in general, being a husband,
It's tough.
to a wife who's
Yeah.
also type A.
Oh yeah.
Who's also strong-willed.
Yeah.
Who's also
man.
stubborn. Like,
You married the same woman.
Man, that's what I'm saying. Hey, everybody in here come with me right now.
They watching this.
But man, figuring out it's trial and error. It's like, man, I thought things were gonna be done one way, and they're not. I give you a quick example, and I'm not gonna bring the room down, but we just had a miscarriage not too long ago. After we had the miscarriage, being a man, how we talk to each other after something bad happens is this. Alex, come on, man. You'll be all right, bro. Let's go. We're going to do it again. We're going to try it again.
Yeah, you got it.
My head, I did that, and I said it out loud. Not knowing I wasn't supposed to say that, but in my mind, I was like, that's all right, baby. They said you were good. The doctor said nothing wrong with you. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
We're going to
We gonna try again.
We're going to try again. Let's go.
Because you think that's a winning attitude.
And I
it
wanted
is true.
her.
Yeah.
She was fine. Let's go. We're going to do it again. Not the right thing to do. We went to counseling because we still are in counseling every day. And it's not like, look, we work out with mental health, physical health. Why not have marriage or spousal help as well?
Not like
so
that.
we go to marriage counseling, not because anything is wrong, because we want to make sure we're stable. So just to put it, I don't want to be long-winded.
Yeah.
We had this conversation all day, but man, figuring out how to be a good husband is probably has been the hardest lesson for me.
And it changes daily.
It does change
That's
daily.
the part.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
It does change
What's
daily.
going on?
A new challenge, and then too, I'll just add to that too. I mean, we're all married, so now we all soon.
What's coming up?
Soon. But as a man, being one thing I think a man have to realize is you will always be learning something new.
For sure.
Never
should.
Always be learning something new. You don't want to get put into a situation where like you think you know it all, because as soon as that happens, problems gonna pop up.
Oh, absolutely.
A real problem gonna pop up. Exactly. You gonna learn real quick as you don't.
When you say you don't have to, you realize that you don't know it all. I think the realization, the quicker we get to the point where we realize we know nothing, the better, bro.
There we go.
That's it.
There we go. Be a willing student. Teach me.
Always
Teach me.
lifelong
Teach
learning.
me. Well, y'all, this has been amazing, man. Steve, what? You got something?
Well, I was just.
No? Go ahead.
I was
Either
gonna
one
kind
of them
of.
answer
Go ahead, bro.
what they
Go ahead, brother.
I
Go ahead.
was going to answer the question, but it actually kind of falls in line of what we're all saying. And biggest lesson that I feel like I've had to learn was that potential doesn't equate to productivity or success. And we talk about
all the potential in the world.
you have all the potential in the world. and part of potential, when you have a lot of potential, it breeds arrogance, right? And we talk about thinking you know everything, when the reality is you are most powerful when you come to a humble place to realizing that you know nothing. That you really are, the depth of your knowledge is so small. And that, so back to potential, it's like you can't focus so much attention on, hey, I have the ability to do this. I got the mind to do this. I've seen this played out. I know how that works. I mean, you talk about relationships, talking about being having a wife. Hey, I know, I've seen situations where this is how a woman responds. So, I think I got it figured out. I got it figured out. But the reality is you don't, And so just with the potential, I for the longest of my childhood, I felt like I could ride on my potential. When I was in elementary school, they tried to tell me I had ADD. Well, they were probably right. I probably did have an ADHD, I mean. But I ended up taking an exam, and they put me in Open Doors, a gifted program. So that was, for me, that was an ego boost. I was like, oh man, I'm actually smart. I'm not, Okay. So that was an ego boost for me. And for the longest, I feel like I played off of potential. I feel like, I don't have to study for the test come around, I can just do it. I don't have to prepare as strategically and as intentionally for this presentation, because when the time comes, I'm intelligent enough, I can just do it. I don't have to go through counseling, through therapy, because I'm smart enough, I'm intelligent enough to where I'll figure it out. I don't need mental health counseling because I'm smart enough to work through things in my head and actually figure them out, where the reality is I'm not. The reality is, yeah, I have potential, but the potential is nothing unless it's cultivated, right? Until
It's
it's
like a
trained
garden.
and it's cultivated, exactly. So for me, that's been my biggest lesson is learning how to do the work, learning to be intentional about my actions, learning to be strategic, and like I said, move with intent.
Yeah.
You know.
And I like that, bro. I mean, because like I want to just put a bow on it right now. Like, I always equate life, marriage, relationships, the gym, your body, like a garden, bro. The garden is only as beautiful as the work you put into it. You gotta pull the weeds. You gotta, water it daily. You gotta fertilize it. You gotta put in down more mulch. Like, I mean, listen, if you do it one time, it's gonna be beautiful. But if you stop, guess what happens?
It's in my yard right now.
And you gotta hope that sunlight keep hitting.
Exactly.
Too,
That part
you can't
too.
control.
You can't. Yeah, and that's one thing that you cannot control. So control what you can control, because it's gonna be one thing that you cannot, man. So thank you all for sitting down with me first and foremost, brothers. I mean, this was an amazing conversation. Hopefully, it's going to reach another brother out there. If please be a part of this conversation as well. On Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, whatever the case may be, you'll find all of our handles. We'll be sharing that as well. But please tune in. I do want to leave you with one quote real quick. I'm going to read this verbatim. I am a religious man. So I do want to put this out there for you. There is an immeasurable benefit to having others in your life who can encourage you to keep going in hope and to hold tightly to your faith. If you're not part of a community of believers, today is the day to seek out godly friends who will encourage you daily. Thankfully, encouraging others is a great way to find that kind of community. I love the community that I got right here. You guys find your community as well. Thank you again. Happy Black History Month.